So we control the timeline. And that's why there is this kind of like, which path will you choose? And you can find sparks of a soul. But if you want that like soulmate relationship, there's a lot of great work and effort that needs to go into it. Hello, and welcome to Spiritually Hungry.
Hey, I'm hungry.
I'm hungry, and also I'm loving this backdrop behind you. It's really hot in New York today. It was like 98, literally, and now a thunderstorm is going to roll in, and it's setting the atmosphere for this topic. It is, I think...
Stormy?
I equate storms with romance.
Yes.
You see how that went, this whole loop?
Yeah, it's true, but I think it's a great metaphor because unfortunately, though, some relationships end up in storms.
Well, here's the thing: people like that, but they also want to know, like they like that the weather's changing and it's romantic and you have to take shelter, but they don't want to get hit by lightning and they don't want to get stuck in the rainstorm, and they don't like that whole. They like the idea of because I think people equate intensity being love, and that's not necessarily the case.
Sometimes it is. It's interesting. I think I told you this. I didn't used to love storms like rain, and only after we got married, you made me love storms.
Because you feel safe.
Exactly. Is that it?
Like a cocoon.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, maybe you'd like to be indoors.
Beautiful. It's nice the way relationships change you. So if it changes you for the better.
For the better. Yeah, maybe you didn't like being stuck inside.
That's exactly what it was.
But now you do.
Exactly. That's exactly the point.
So in case y'all haven't figured it out, we're actually talking about something very, very specific. Well, you wouldn't figure it out. And it's probably not what you would imagine. It is the question that I get most frequently. The first question is, how do I know I'm with my soulmate? The second is a statement that says, it can't be my soulmate because it's too hard. We fight. It's difficult. It's not aligned with what they envision a soulmate relationship to be. And ultimately, what I do want to talk about is why some soulmate relationships end.
Meaning even though they are soulmates.
Correct, because people do not understand that at all. They think, again, soulmate is romantic, it is perfect, you feel belonging and you feel safe and you are happy all the time and all the boxes are checked and you have your person who is your twin flame. Now, you will feel all of those things, but you will also have somebody who holds up a mirror to the things that you need to change the most. Yes, they'll do it with love and compassion, but you need to work on that. Not every soulmate relationship starts even in a romantic way. And also, I know many, many soulmates that love each other and they keep re-choosing each other. There's a couple that I've worked with for 15 years. They got married, they ended up getting divorced, they broke up, they got back together, they broke up, they got back together. And as difficult as it is, they're really clear that their soul, both of them, won't let go of each other, but they spend almost the majority of their time fighting. So I want to really unpack not just what a soulmate is, but it is the most complex, I think, understanding of romantic relationship.
I think you touched upon it, and I'd like to ask you before. I want to share a few things and then ask you to go a little bit deeper on that because I think it's such an important understanding, right? This idea that two souls, two halves of one soul, can be soulmates, but I would even say more likely than not, if they are not changing and growing, that they're not going to make it as a relationship. And I think because again, I think the misnomer that most people have is this thought that again that my soulmate relationship should be something that's easy, right? Once I'm in,
effortless, which nothing worthwhile is. But it's not even that it won't last. First, you won't recognize your soulmate if you're not committed to change and growth internally. So all the things that you look for externally in a partner, you have to, if you want this, look within and become that. Look at your internal you and say, okay, this thing that I desire, how am I living that? How am I becoming that? And then when you become that, what happens is you attract that same level of soul, that frequency. I tell this to our kids a lot too. And it's funny because I was talking to our oldest the other day about this idea. And Miriam, our third child, was in the car, and she was like, hey, mom says this all the time. Aren't you? I love that she actually was paying attention to this, because she's heard me talk about it to other people. I actually haven't had that conversation directly with her. But there's always a parallel universe. Like, you can choose to go left, or you can go right, or depending on where you are, where your consciousness is at, the level of investment that you make for your own personal growth. And then, of course, if we look at this romantically, it will lead you to a very specific door. Now, you can decide that that's not the priority, and you might get lost along the way, and you're going to have a different reality. You might end up in that other universe again, maybe 10, 15 years later, because your soul needs to go through a lot of learning to get there. But if, for instance, you commit like crazy to becoming that, then the soulmate that you're really searching, that relationship will be right in front of you. So we control the timeline. And that's why there is this kind of like, which path will you choose? And you can find sparks of a soul, but if you want that like soulmate relationship, there's a lot of great work and effort that needs to go into it.
I think you touched upon something that is really a very powerful and necessary understanding, right? A lot we meet a lot of people who are like, I want to find my soulmate. How do I find my soulmate? And what you just said, which I think is so important for certainly those of us, those of our listeners that are listening, that are not yet in a soulmate relationship or looking for their partner, that because, and this is the way the system is so perfect, not to, call out a specific generation, but there is something that is unfortunately kind of prevalent in maybe the 20-somethings today. And that is the thought that things shouldn't be so difficult. And related to that, sometimes the lack of desire to be looking inward and changing. Now, what you said, because soulmate relationships necessitate difficult work internally, forget about what you're going to work on together.
And consistent.
As a consistent
difficult
introspection and difficult work. If you're not willing to do that, you're probably never going to find your soulmate. Because why would the creator, why would the universe bring somebody to you when it's not going to work out anyway, if you're not desiring to be looking inward and change, which is what you will have to be doing
if you are in
order for the soulmate relationship to work. And this is, again, I think this is so profound. As I think about a few couples that we know, they got together because they were both willing to do anything to change.
And they were at that.
And then when that changes, when that desire to look and be completely introspective consistently and grow and change all the time, then suddenly it doesn't work.
Well, here's the thing. They would all argue that their desire didn't wane. What happened is they arrived to the goal, right? They married their soulmate, they found the person. And now what happens is we start to get comfortable. We begin to lose appreciation. The ego then, when you get hurt, the person wasn't considerate, you're living together. There's so many new things that happen. If you're not approaching all of those new things, the difficult things in the relationship that come up in every single relationship, whether it's a soulmate one or not, then you start to say, whoa, I don't need to change. I don't need to continue to do the work. You are the problem. You hurt my feelings. You don't know how to speak to me. You don't know how to clean up after yourself. You have these expectations, right? It becomes this whole other thing. And then you now are no longer in a soulmate relationship, even if you're with your soulmate.
Right. But I want to underscore something which I think is really important. It's not just about whether they are in a state of being open to change and to grow within the relationship. It's when they lose the real desire to be changing themselves, even separate from the relationship. When the desire for internal change diminishes, then the ability for a soulmate relationship to continue diminishes. And yes, of course, it will also manifest in the ways that they don't want to change for the relationship. But on a deeper level, on a core level, what happens is that their spiritual desire has waned. Again, sometimes they're aware of it, sometimes they're not. And I just think it's so profound. Again, and I think this is a real warning sign for you, for me, for every one of our listeners. Even and if you are in a relationship that is a soulmate relationship, be careful. Make sure that from now on in, you are constantly looking inside, constantly asking and looking for ways to grow and to change, because that's the only guarantee that your soulmate relationship will be there and will continue.
But I'm going to challenge you a little bit, because I do agree with you, but I can tell you that almost 100% of the people in that bracket, in that description, they think that they are still doing the work and they think that they are spiritual. I'm telling you, the fundamental shift is that it's like a different, like a veil that comes over them, and everything is okay. My connection is great. My prayers are great. My outlook is great. My consciousness is great. The only problem is that you create stress for me. And that is, I really see it over and over again. As soon as you start seeing them really as your soulmate and you start seeing them as maybe just a partner or a mate, everything changes. So this thing, and that's why I really want to emphasize that, this thing that you want so badly, a soulmate relationship, what is required is there is then no me or you. There's only us. You know, when I work with couples, they're often saying, you did this and this is what I want. I really rarely ever hear us. Even one couple, she was talking about her children and he's sitting right in front of her. And I could see that he was uncomfortable. I don't even think he could access it. I pulled her aside later. I said, you know, they're also his children. And you can say we, you know, when we were with the children, it just becomes a very kind of a line. And if you are in that, you know, I say also any relationship can become a soulmate relationship. It's how you treat the person, right? Sometimes people are like, oh, well, I've been married so long, I'm not sure it's my soulmate. You can still approach the relationship as a soulmate relationship. How do you treat them? How open are you to what they offer you?
I think that's an important point. And I'd like to go a little bit deeper with you on it. So rightfully so, you said that what happens when that veil comes and people think they're doing the work, but they're really not doing the work.
Well, they're doing a version of the work.
Well, of course.
But the truth is, right, what is a soulmate? They mirror to you. They're reflecting right back to you actually what your soul needs for growth. It's kind of like you made a soul contract before you came down, and you are supposed to hold each other accountable to that work, but in a loving, supportive way. So people misunderstand this. So like, this is what you need to change, and I am your mirror, and I can see it better than you can. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying that it's like you're on a seesaw, right? And if one just goes up and says, like, I want to be up here, you know, it's never going to work. You're laughing, but that was the example.
I'm laughing because I actually like seesaws. And it's been a long time since I've been on a seesaw.
I love seesaws. You want to go to the park?
Let's go right now.
I haven't gone to a playground in a really long time.
Just me and you?
In the rain.
I think that'll be weird.
That'll be so fun. Let's go run down.
We'll call the police.
Oh my goodness. But you know, that you made me totally lose my train of thought. I have no idea what I was saying. No,
because you were saying that people sometimes think, even if they're spiritual, they can point out on the other one what's wrong with them or what they need to change.
And the real work really, now that it's being called to you, right? So whatever you thought the work was before you got married, whatever is now being presented is now the next level of your work. And I think too often and too quickly people are like, no, this is the problem. You are the problem. I married the wrong person because love, you know, will get us through everything. Love should last forever. All of these isms that it really are just, it's not true.
And I want to go back to this point, which I think is really important, because there's a spiritual reason why what you explained just now happens.
Not the seesaw.
Not the seesaw. Well, kind of the seesaw too. In this world, there's two forces. There's the force of light and the force of darkness. The force of light is love and unity. The force of darkness is separation and disharmony. So when you are not doing your spiritual work enough, introspection, desire to change, openness to change, you're going to necessarily start seeing the other as the problem. And you're going to necessarily be seeing yourself as separate from your partner, because those two things come together: a diminishment of one's internal work and the force of separation. Mm-hmm. So it's not just that, you know, psychologically or naturally, as they are fighting, as they are having trouble, they start seeing each other as separate. It's actually an effect of their spiritual state, which is what you said before, that they start calling them my children, for example. And I wanted to ask, what do you do in such a case, right? How do you counsel a couple where you see this happen? And first, one question: have you ever seen a couple where it's not working, where that wasn't the case, meaning that where they weren't going towards separation, or meaning where they start blaming, seeing what's wrong in the other person, and really separating almost their lives out? I'm doing well, but you're causing me stress. My kids, your kids.
Have I seen a couple not do that?
Not do that.
Well, no. When they're coming to me, they're having some issues.
Right.
I mean, they're already in a state where they've so far removed. What I find really inspiring. Look, people have different levels of ego, right? And how it shows up for them. And also people come with a lot of different baggage. And so if, for instance, a person was never heard in their home, or if when there was a fight, the solution was never to communicate about it and then pretend like it didn't happen and try to hug the person, where the other person had a very healthy version of, we got in an argument, we need to discuss this, we need to repair. There's a lot of these kinds of I see coming to the table. So again, some people come with more baggage and issues. The ones that have, let's say, less ego, you're able to get them back on track and show them and have them even experience in the work appreciation again. Like this happened recently where they were so disconnected. And what worries me also is yes, I was there and we need to continue doing the work. And if I'm not there, right, then how do you do that? But the wife came to me after and she said, we really love each other. She was surprised. And we actually really enjoy each other.
Maybe I think this is really important. And I'd like you to go a little bit more deeply into this, right? So this is a couple you've worked with, and they were at a breaking point, basically.
They were, right? There were already major fractures.
And then?
And I always tried different approaches. So I met with them together. I met with her alone. And then he finally reached out separately and said, I'm really open. I don't want to lose this. And I think that was the big shift, because often you have one that's really fighting more than the other, or one that can see more clearly or is willing to be more humble about it. And usually the other one is just I don't want this. Either they run or they avoid. So it depends on that too. But Kabbalistically speaking, and this might be, yeah.
So what do you think happened? First of all, what do you think happened? And then explain maybe the state, because I think it's
when
crazy.
They got back, when
they realized that they actually love each other. What do you think it was that brought them there? And again, how crazy is that? Because they probably, if you asked them before you met with them.
I think specifically with this couple, I think that, and I knew what their issues were. For him specifically, he really, really has a desire and a need to be heard and respected, because he didn't have that growing up, right? So we held that space for him. And this is what's interesting too, because when I work separately with people, of course you see the version that they want to show you, right? But then when you have them together, you're like, who is this person I've never met? The
margin for lies diminishes.
Or just sadness and defeated and depressed. And it's just so what happened is he excused himself. And when he got up from the table, he was going to come back. But I turned to her, I'm like, what are you doing? I was just shocked. What is going on here? Is this what you want? If you want to break up, this is absolutely the way to do it. And I think that it kind of shook her awake, because I was able to show her examples in real time. And we continued to do that. I spent 3 days with this couple. And I think that was the thing. It was 3 days, day and night, just focused on them. And that was enough to rekindle. So
even rekindle is one word. We really rediscover, right? Because like you said, right? She came to you and said, we actually realized it. Yeah. Because if you had have asked them the 3.5 days prior to that.
No, I did ask. And she was like, I'm not sure I love him.
Right.
Because that's the other thing. You don't have access to love or feelings of love when you're feeling disappointed and hurt. You simply, for defense mechanism, you're like, I don't care about this person at all. And that's why years later, people are like, oh my God, it was the biggest mistake of my life, leaving that person.
I think that's a very important point that, people, we always say, feelings aren't facts. And even the feeling, and this is a perfect case, maybe to our listeners who are in a relationship with in their mind, they say to themselves currently, I don't love my spouse, I don't love my partner, but actually maybe it's there and it's just covered up by all kinds of ego veils that you actually have put there.
Well, I'll give you an example. There was a couple that the husband decided he didn't want to be with her anymore, like at all, not interested. She thought maybe it was a midlife crisis he was going through, but she was like, he was just like, I'm done, like packed up his stuff, left. And she's like, I'm not giving up on him. And she didn't. And she kept reaching out to him, and she kept accepting whatever she could, whatever he offered, right? And she just kept saying, no, I love him. And I know that he's going to come back. And I know that we're going to make it work.
Was it a couple you worked with, or was somebody you heard?
No.
Okay.
But I did a lot of research on this, and I was really inspired by this. And she said, and she wouldn't give up. And maybe she had enough certainty for both of them that this is her soulmate, and that whatever he's going through is maybe just a space and separation from his own soul, right?
Right.
So she kept at this for a year while he was doing all kinds of things. And then one day she looks out her window and he's mowing the lawn. And she said, I knew he came back and he was invested in us again because he came to our house and did this thing that he always did. And then he kind of woke up and they got through their thing. Now, if you look at a soulmate relationship, because people think there's permanence there, right? That it's going to be forever, that there's no change. If we're looking at a soulmate relationship as a spiritual, this is not like, and that's the other thing. This word bothers me kind of because in
Which one?
Our soulmate, like I want my soulmate. They think that it is Cinderella, right? It's the Prince Charming has come. That is not a soulmate relationship. That is not.
Except in our case.
So what it really is that it gives you this opportunity for tremendous growth, and that you're able to experience life on a different frequency with this partner. And then of course the love is deeper and the joy is deeper and the purpose is more true. Like all of those things happen, but it requires this kind of continual work. What people do is they give up on it too quickly. Like if you look at this couple, this example I just said, she would not give up on him. Now her ego could have said, oh, how could he do this to me? But she really believed that this is her person, this is her soulmate, and no matter what, she was going to fight for it. So I see that a lot too, that I've seen many soulmate couples break up.
Right. I'm sure that's what I was going to say. I'm sure you've seen the situation where one of the partners, because of their ego at a certain point in the relationship, and they don't recover.
And they just say, I'm not happy. I don't want this anymore, right? And yes, you're taking your feelings seriously and your emotions seriously. And then what happens? The other person goes on and they remarry and they have a very nice life. And it probably is a spark of a soulmate, right? But when we talk about like two halves of one soul coming together, there's going to be an eruption. There's going to be a lot of dirt that's kicked up because you're meant to do great things together. And it will be hard. It will be exhausting. It will stretch you in ways you didn't think were possible, but it will be the most rewarding. People give up too often. And that's why soulmate relationships end, because people give up often in the middle of the process of it.
Very important. And I think something you touched upon, which I think is also important, right? So you're saying that when the eruption happens, and the point is, and I tie it back to what you said earlier, in that they see each other as separate, right? So tell me if you've used this in with the couples you've worked with, where you say, actually, this stuff that your partner is discovering about you, or that you're discovering about your partner, right? If they looked at it as, oh my God, how do we both grow from this together, right? And see it as a joint effort of change individually, where one can point out to the other what they need to change, the other can point out to the other what they need to change, right? Then it becomes the work, a unified work, even though there's individual work involved. And then it opens up again the possibility of it remaining a soulmate relationship.
Correct. I write about this in my book, Rethink Love, that there's something called the Michelangelo phenomenon and the golem effect. So the golem effect, if somebody is married to a person, and let's say she's plain Jane, and he likes plain Jane, but really he wants Marilyn Monroe. What he will do over time is chip away until he creates that desired version of a wife or a woman he wants. Michelangelo phenomenon is something very different. It's looking at, they often talk about this, which I love art. The art lies in the slab of clay, right? The chipping of away, you're revealing what already exists. And that is a soulmate relationship. You help the person, right? You see their potential, you see their beauty, and you help chip away what is already inside of them that wants to be revealed. Two different relationships. And I see this all the time. Michelangelo phenomenon is the way to go, clearly. And when people show up as a soulmate. That's why I said earlier, let's say you're 15 years into a marriage, and then suddenly now you're understanding. That happens too. By the way, 15 minutes before the wedding. I'm not so sure about this. I've heard that also.
I was talking to somebody the other day, 15 minutes, like a day or two before. And their mom was like, no, we got all.
You got to do it. We heard this all the time. We've already paid. What will the people think? Yes. What the money wasted? Exactly.
But
they don't think about the money for the divorce that's going to be spent too. Anyway. So then they suddenly have a different consciousness and like, oh, I want a soulmate relationship. Well, you can show up in that way if you understand what it is. And that's why this is so important. And it's so powerful because when we do that, we stop forcing our desires, our vision of what that person should be, our need to control. Instead, we allow them to emerge in the way that they truly desire, but don't necessarily have the courage or strength to do.
Again, I think, as usual, you touched upon a profound point, that it is actually partly the responsibility of soulmates to enable their partner to become the amazing version of themselves that they are meant to be. But what doesn't work is when one of the partners is trying to force their partner to be something they want them to be.
That's right.
Rather than being excited and partnering in allowing them to become who they're meant to be. And it's funny. I wonder how many.
It's so rare.
How many couples actually even have the concept of this, right? So I'm blessed to have, watched you become the amazing person the past 28 years, right? And I think...
You mean more amazing than the one you married?
Yes, that you're definitely more amazing than the person I married. But the point is that I had a responsibility and that I'd like to, and I can't take full credit, right? But neither can you take full credit for who, hopefully if I become a better version of myself than I was 28 years ago.
Yeah.
But thank you. But when you understand the partnership in that way, it also hopefully stops you from doing the other thing, which unfortunately you've seen. I know I've also seen where literally one of the partners, unfortunately often it's the husband, tries to force his new wife to become exactly what he wants, which is never the point of soulmate relationships. The point of soulmate relationships is that you help each other become the amazing person that person is supposed to
Let's
become.
look at that for a second, right? So I see this a lot too. Let's say, and it's often this case, but it could be the other way. The man is like, I'm working really hard. I'm providing for this family. Then what's your part? Then you should, make sure that I have the support I need, that there's the food that you cook and that this. And I often say, like, do you think her soul came into this world to just do those things for you? Like, it's the opposite. Like, if she is the other half of your soul, do you not think that she's not thriving here? Like, it's completely misaligned from what they truly want or how they approach the relationship in the first place. Yeah, so I think it's an opportunity for people to really rethink love and rethink where they are with it. Because, let's say that you want a tree. You have a tree, you've planted it, and you want the apples from the tree. You want to enjoy the fruit of the tree, the shade from the tree. And all day long, you're telling the tree, why aren't you growing fast enough? Why are your apples not, what's wrong with the soil? Well, how are you nurturing it? When are you watering it? Do you speak to it? How do you speak to it, right? You're not going to enjoy the tree. You're not going to, I'm not comparing one person to a tree, but you understand.
No, beautiful. It's a great metaphor. Right. And like you said, often people will walk away from the tree and then not water it and then ask, why is it growing? That's beautiful. And again,
it's funny, that book, Shel Silverstein's The Giving Tree?
Right.
I used to love that book. When I worked in a school, I was a teacher when I was in college, and I worked, and I was like, oh my God, this is the best book ever. It was the first time I ever read it. I don't know why I didn't read it in my childhood, but anyway, that was the first time I read it and I loved it. And then when we had our children, I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring this like great book out for them. And I'm reading it. I'm thinking, I hate this book. And I'll tell you why. Because the tree is the giver and the boy is selfish. Okay. And he becomes more and more selfish through the rest of his life. The tree provides shade for him. And then the boy, when he climbs on the tree, and then he brings his girlfriend to kiss under the tree, and then they carve their names into the tree. And then when he gets older, he gets some of the wood to build a house. I mean, this is not realistic, obviously. Then he takes the rest of the wood for a boat. And then after he's all old, he comes back and the tree is a stump. And she's like, oh, we're all tired. Come rest on me. Unfortunately,
that's what happens.
this is how people treat relationships. That's the truth.
That's very funny. Very true. I hope, I think it's very inspiring because this is one of the key points that can make a soulmate relationship actually last and thrive. And unfortunately, the reason why so many don't.
And one other reason, yes. You kind of touched upon it a little bit. When people find their soulmate, they're in a very specific state where they're doing the hard work and they are trying to grow and elevate and be spiritual. And then if you, one or both, stop doing that work, they change. We're always changing. You're either changing for the better or changing for the worse. Those are the two options. Nobody is staying the same. There's no stagnant, not even in a relationship, not in our lives, anywhere. So if one person now takes a different path that is not that enlightened, even if it's a soulmate relationship, it simply can't work because you're not even connecting in the ways that need to happen. Yeah. So there are many reasons of why a soulmate relationship ends.
Thank you, Monica. I feel like I've been listening more than talking, hopefully, this episode. And I hope our listeners are inspired by what you shared, by what we shared today, to rethink their relationship. Either if you're looking for a soulmate, if you're in a soulmate relationship, or if a soulmate relationship isn't working out, I think there's wisdom here for each one of those groups to really change from, and then not only be open, find, keep, and really transform a soulmate relationship.
Yeah.
So thank you, Monica. I'd like to remind our listeners to share this podcast with everybody you know. Go to Apple Podcasts, write 5-star reviews. And it's also, although we didn't have time on this episode to share some of your letters, but please continue to email Monica and Michael at spirituallyhungry.life, Monica and Michael at spirituallyhungry.life. Your inspirations, questions, comments, by the way, your relationship understandings from this episode, or questions in general, or inspirations about soulmate relationships. And as always, we hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it.
Stay spiritually hungry
and rethink love.